Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's Billy McDermott here from Social Media Search. Hope you're well and enjoying the sunshine. Well, if you're in Scotland, it seems to be very, very sunny today. Thanks very much for dialing in. I'm the Research and Sourcing Manager here at Social Media Search. What I want to do today is just have a chat and show you some examples of how you might be able to source candidates from maybe sites that you wouldn't ordinarily use, and I'll try and bring in some examples from different sectors such as recruitment, business services, professional services, media, that type of thing. And I'm going to run you through some examples of work that we've actually done for clients, just to give you some inspiration and a couple of different ideas potentially. If there's any technical problems at all, please message me. I do have the chat box up. Please just send out a message if you've got any problems seeing anything or hearing anything. The seminar will last about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. If you've got any questions about anything I'm asking, please bring them up in the chat box. But otherwise, after the meeting, you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on LinkedIn, drop me a note, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions about anything that we are discussing today. So, why am I running this webinar, and why do I talk about different alternative sites? There's a couple of reasons for it. We as recruiters and sourcers sometimes get a little bit hung up on the obvious sites like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource. It is where we find a huge amount of information about candidates, and for most positions and for most roles, it can give you a decent list of people to speak to. But it's sometimes it's worthwhile looking in different places, thinking outside the box, and thinking about different types of resources and different things that you can actually do. There's other social networks that you could use. There's other types of websites. A lot of sites where people are talking to each other about various different topics, various different things. There's events websites like the one I've got on the screen. You should be able to see that. You should be able to see Chrome in front of you. I've got the Meetup site there. There's things like Eventbrite, conference websites. There's a huge amount of online information available, lots and lots of different places that you can find information. But also a lot of websites contain information that maybe isn't always immediately obvious. It's maybe not easy to find it through a normal search. So I'll try and talk about some examples there as well. Okay, so just to start off, the main difference, I'm just going to talk about LinkedIn for 1 second, because when we're using LinkedIn, we become very used to using the advanced search capability within LinkedIn. We become very used to working in the way that LinkedIn wants us to work, as opposed to maybe what might be a better way of actually working. It prescribes us to talk about keywords, first name, last name, title, company, all that kind of thing. Don't think like that when you're running these different types of searches. Don't think in that kind of prescribed manner. You have to think a little bit more creatively and just think about different ideas. And the way that I tend to do this is think about one website, that might be a good website to find people. So it might be that I don't know, just for example, say I was trying to find a recruitment consultant, okay? So I'm going to do just a search, a normal Google search for recruitment consultants in the UK, okay? And just see what websites actually come up there, okay? So that's bringing me up a list of recruitment agencies. It's not bringing me up anything that I'm looking for here really, but what if I changed that if I said recruitment, say recruitment consultant news in the UK, just for example. Okay, right, that's a little bit better. So what it's doing is it's actually bringing me up the Recruiter and some other pages that are all about recruitment news and news relating to recruitment consultants. I can actually then go, so if I go into the Recruiter page, not go into the Recruiter page, if I think about Recruiter, I know that Recruiter, through experience, is a good source of information. There's lots of relevant news, lots of insight, lots and lots of different information there. If I wanted to find a list of websites that perhaps have similar information to what's contained within the recruiter.co.uk, then what I can actually do is do what's called a related search. Okay, so I could type in related, and then I can type in colon. I can put the address in, so the full address, www.recruiter.co.uk, and then I can hit return. And what Google's going to do is going to look at that address, and it's now going to bring me back a list of pages that it thinks are suitable, that are similar to those pages. Okay. So that immediately gives me a list of potential sources, because it could be that I've searched the recruiter page before, www.recruiter, and I've found lots and lots of different information there. Want to try the same again, so immediately through that search, it's given me 13, including the recruiter.co.uk, it's given me 13 different pages that might have lots and lots of information. And more importantly, I can then take those sites and I can actually search them. And there's two ways of searching these sites, either using an inbuilt search facility that might be contained within the site. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But actually, what we can do is we can take the information and we could actually search using an X-ray search, a Google X-ray search instead. Every public page on the internet will be indexed by Google or by Bing, okay, by the two main search engines. My personal preference is that you use use Google and use the Google Chrome browser, but it's each their own individual preferences. There's two main reasons why I use Google. The first is I think the search results generally are better than Bing, but that's completely subjective. It's not down to, it's really down to personal preference. The second thing is actually the Google search results can be customized in a little bit more detail to give you more results on each page, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But say I wanted to actually search on the recruiter, so search on one of the sites that's similar to the recruiter. I'm going to take just a random example. I haven't searched against this site before actually. I've got no idea. I'm just going to go in and take a look at it first of all and make sure that it's going to be relevant. I don't think I've ever looked at the UK recruiter page. Could be wrong, but I look at a lot of websites every day. Okay, cool. So I know, in fact, I do know what website this is. It's Louise Trans's website. Cool. So yeah, I know for a fact that there's lots and lots of different information on this page about suppliers, about events, about forums, lots and lots and lots of different information. Okay. So what I could do actually on this site is do a very basic, as I say, what I call X-ray search. And to do that, then I take the website page. So I take the full page. And then before that, I can type in site and colon. So in exactly the same format as the related colon page, search that I ran, then I could do site www.ukrecruiter.co.uk. Say I wanted to find a managing director of a recruitment company, just for talking sake. And say I'll pick a random town. As I say, I've not ran this search before, so I'm just going to pick Birmingham. And then I'll maybe just put in fact, I'll just leave it like that and see what kind of pages come up. Okay. Could be nothing comes up. Could be, so nothing's coming up in this case. So as I say, I've never ran this search before, but this is an example. Could be the Birmingham thing that's stopping that. Okay, that's not working. Let's just try. It could be something to do with the site. So I'm just going to take away that www. This is a good thing about live webinars. You never know if it's going to work properly. Oh, there we go. It's actually to do with the site. So just something to watch out for. Actually, sometimes you don't need to put the www dot in. It just depends on the format of the site. I'm going to add in Birmingham again. Okay. So what it's done there is it's actually X-rayed the site. It's pulled out all the pages within the UK Recruiter website that have got information that matches managing director and matches Birmingham. Okay, so you could look at that and you're going, okay, click into this article, click into the second one. Okay. And there's some names in here. I'm just going to find where the instance of managing director is. Okay, and actually here you can see you're actually, it's pulling out information about people who have commented on this page. So this is really, really useful. And you can see here there's actually some, Steve Ward, etc. There's guys who I'm aware of, who I know, who are commenting on this. But you can see the type of information that it's pulling out. It's pulling out people that are putting job titles on their profiles, etc. So that's one really good way of pulling out information. I could change that search to consultant instead, or I could pull it down and I could change it to sourcer, or I could change it to resourcer. And it's going to bring me out a range of information from people with matching job titles and matching location information. Okay, I'm going to run another example search of this. So I'm going to run against the PwC website, just for example. So I'm just going to go to PwC UK. Just going to get the right address for it first of all. Okay, and the bigger organisations are really good examples. So I'll talk about professional services for a moment. Professional services have got a huge amount of information contained within their website, but they're actually quite complicated. Well, not complicated, but they're not the most intuitive to actually navigate around. So although they've got an inbuilt search feature, that might not be the best way of doing it. And you can see here, you've got industries. You've got how many industries have we got there? 12, 22 or something like that, 22 pages of industries. We've got 9 pages of issues. We've got 13 pages of services. There's loads and loads of information there. And actually, to be honest, I don't know about you, but sometimes I really can't be bothered spending the time trying to work around a company's website when I know there's a specific bit of information that I'll actually want to find. So I'm going to work on an X-ray search again. What I could do, same thing, is I can type in site and then colon and then pwc.co.uk. Say I wanted to find an audit manager, for example, then I could type in just the phrase audit manager. And say it was London, and this is a good way of narrowing down location in a slightly different way. I could think about the telephone numbers. Now, I've got no idea what the telephone format is at PwC, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in 020, just as a starter for 10, to see what it brings up. Give it a second. Sorry. Now, you will get this page sometimes when running this type of search. It's when Google thinks you're a robot. I take it as a compliment. Just type that in. It probably happens. For me, I do these searches hourly. It maybe comes up once a day for me. So what we can see here, it's actually brung up a match, engagement leader and audit manager. It's brung up 020. It's matched up a different telephone number, but let's go in and take a look at this. Let's have a look and see what it talks about. Okay, don't know if there's any, let's see, any information on here. This is quite a broad report by the looks of things. It's the public interest body report actually, so it's something that's quite senior. It's got a lot of senior names, so it doesn't look like it's actually going to bring me up the name of any audit managers. Let's see. Could spell audits, then that would help. Okay, so it's picked up audit manager there, but it's picked it up in between. So that's probably, that's where it's picked it up. But the search is right, and the search is working. Let's just say I wanted to bring up, I'll use another example, maybe a tax manager. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just run a broad senior manager search instead, and that's me just thinking about actually the job titles that are under PwC. It could be that actually someone's not called an audit manager, they could be called a senior manager or a manager instead. So what I can do is I could do senior manager audit. I'm actually going to put in assurance as well. But what I've done there is I've done that as an or. So I've done audit or assurance. I'm going to take out the telephone number to begin with. Okay, and what I can see here is it's actually brought up a lot of pages. Now it's brought up careers pages as well. If I didn't want to bring up any careers pages within that search, that's really easy for me to do. I can just create a space at the end of my search. I can hit the minus button, which is the same thing as doing a not. You could probably use a not in your ATS or your recruitment management system at the moment. I could do less and minus instead. And I can type in URL, which is telling Google, okay, I want you to exclude pages that contain the word I'm about to type in the URL from the search, and in this case, as I said, I'm going to do in URL, I'm going to do careers, because I can see quite clearly actually there's a lot of careers pages coming up in this search. I'll then change that. I'm going to hit return, and we'll see the number of results go down from 136 down to, give it a second, down to 100. So it's taking out 10 results. But straight away, then we're looking here, and we're going, oh, right, okay, brilliant. We'll get a team page here. So I can go in here. I'm going to go to this page, and it's given me information about the third-party assurance team. So it's given me Neil Hewitt, Richard Porter, Mark Garland, lots and lots of different information there about people that are working in that team. Wasn't quite what I was looking for, but hang on. David, as I say, sorry, there's a little bit of information there that I was hoping would come up on that page. Give me a second. So let's see. So yeah, actually it is. It's at the bottom of the page. It's David Vernal. David is a senior manager, banking, capital markets, risk assurance practices. Okay, so he's heading up a team within there. If I then wanted to find out, say I wanted to find out more information about David, I can click in there. I click through. Okay, and actually what I can see is now PwC has got a directory that's called People within their website. Okay, brilliant. So how could I then take advantage of that? Well, I don't know what kind of people are contained within this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to strip the URL. I'm going to do a thing called peeling. So I'm actually just going to peel that back a little bit. I'm going to go to pwc.co.uk/people. And what I can see, actually, that page isn't found. That means that page isn't present, but it doesn't mean that there's no content contained within that subdirectory, because as we could see, it's given us information about David. So that doesn't stop me though in my tracks, because then what I can do is I can go, right, okay, right Google, what I only want to do is search against sites that are within this domain. Within this structure. So I can do my site search again. I can do site, www.pwc.co.uk/people, and then I could type in, I'm just going to run this, and I have no idea whether this one's going to work or not. It's the first time I've done it. I'm going to type in senior manager again and see what comes up. Okay, and I can see it's actually brought me up 12 results there. Okay, and I could be more specific, so I could type in capital markets, say that was something I wanted to do. Okay, and what I can see is it's actually brought up. Now I'm seeing a pattern here. Let's see. Looks like it's maybe only bringing up certain types of people. No, it's bringing up a lot of different types of people from different locations. And what we can see in these pages is, I'll go into the first set of results. Okay, it's brought like this person. It's telling me what her specialism is. Okay, it's telling me a bit in technical detail about what she's doing. Now, what it doesn't, oh, it does actually. There we go. We've got contact information on the right-hand side here for Gemma. We've got her job title. That's her direct line telephone number, and that's her email address. Okay, so there's a massive, massive amount of information that's actually contained within there that you wouldn't actually normally see, and you wouldn't actually be able to navigate through if you were just working on the normal PwC website. So that's a really good example. I mean, once you've got, I can't remember if that was email or not, that button, no, that's just a contact form, so it doesn't give you her email address. But there are different ways of finding her email address and her contact information. Obviously one of which being taking her information and then just running a Google search against it on its own. But I'll talk about that in the finding contact information seminar, which you'll be invited to shortly, I think. So that's thinking about company websites. That's thinking about kind of trade press. Well, what about other websites? Let's briefly talk about some other social networks. First of all, we've got Google Plus. Google Plus is a really, really useful website for a couple of reasons. The first is it's dead easy to search on it, and then the second one is that you can actually contact anyone who you find on it free of charge without paying for a message, and you're guaranteed that the message is going to get to them. You can't guarantee that they're going to respond to it, obviously, but you are guaranteed that it's going to get to them. Now, again, I can search for in a couple of different ways on this, but at the start, it's always going to be a site search. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for recruitment consultant. In fact, no, I won't. I'm going to search for, let's see, I'm going to search for a PR manager, actually. I'll use a media example. Okay, so lots and lots of different information here. Here we go, and it's brought back lots and lots of different matches for PR manager. I'm going to pick this person, Etya Zak, PR manager, and I'm just going to pick a profile. I'm just going to talk about how the profile is actually laid out and how you can then use that. So it's a really good example. This person's got a fairly decent profile on Google+, so it's telling you Etya Zak, PR manager. It's talking, she attended that university, she lives in, and this is the format, that Google puts the information onto someone's profile. So for myself, if I had completed my profile properly, which I haven't yet, then it would say Billy McDermott. It would say works as research and sourcing manager, attended Glasgow Caledonian University, and lives in Paisley. So using that information, I can then tell Google that actually on Google+, I only want to bring back profile information, because there's loads of information on Google+. If I click on the left-hand side here, you can see there's profiles, there's people, there's photos, there's what's hot, there's communities, events, Hangouts I'll talk about in a second, there's pages, so there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different types of information on there. So, I could waste time, filtering through irrelevant results, but actually what I'm going to tell Google is say, okay, I actually only want to find, profile pages. I'm not interested in finding anything else, and I can do that by being really specific with the information. So I could type PR manager, and then say it was in London, I wanted to do this, I could type lives in London. I'm just going to give it a second to run that search. And what it's done is it's brought me back a list of profile pages, and it looks like, yeah, they are all profile pages that match up to my results. There's a couple of duplicates in there. With a little bit of faffing about with the search, I can take those duplicates out. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6, 7 different unique kind of names there, just by doing a very, very quick search for PR manager who lives in London. Okay. So that's using Google+. Facebook's exactly the same in terms of how you can search, except you can only really, or the best way of searching is actually to search within Facebook. You can run a graph search within Facebook. So if I open up my Facebook page, I'm going to use my personal Facebook page here a little bit, so apologies if anything that you don't agree with maybe comes up in the first instance. But what I could do is, people, let's just say, and the tool, I could say people who work as PR managers, okay, and who live in London, okay. I'm going to just change that to people who are. It seems to bring up some different results here. Let's see. Okay, it's not bringing up exactly the right thing I was looking for. It's a wee bit trial and error, but I don't have too much time to faff about, so I'll change the search and give you another example. I'll say people who are account managers, okay, who live in London. So it's then people who are account managers and who live in London, and I can select that. Okay, and it's bringing me up a list of people who are matching that job title and who live in London. I can actually search on lots and lots of different information there: employer, job title, university, age, and then I can filter it down on the right-hand side. I do run a dedicated seminar on Facebook. There's loads to it, so please make sure when you get your invitation to that, make sure that you sign up for that. As I say, I want to encourage you to think outside the box. Don't just think about social networks, okay? I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of what we've done so far. You would never think that somewhere like TripAdvisor would be a good place to find people, but actually we've just ran a bit of work for one of our clients to find people who are interested in travel by looking at TripAdvisor. And if you think about it, there's so much information. I'm going to just pick an obvious example. I'm just going to take a look at the Hilton Glasgow for a second. So this is a hotel in Glasgow that's used by, various different types of people. Oh, no, that's the wrong bit I was looking at, so I'll type it up here instead. I'm just going to bring up the page. It's a hotel that's used by a variety of different people, tourists, business people, lots and lots of different things. But the important thing is actually the reviews page. So, if I click on the reviews section, give me a second just to load, sorry, our internet connection's a little bit slow today. Okay, and then actually what I can see is there's profile information here about people. So what we did in this case was we actually searched for profiles that contained people who had a contribution to the site that was, I think it was over 20. So this was people who had reviewed hotels, etc., more than 20 times and then contacted them about their interest in travel. So that's a different thing, that's a different type of approach, but it's just to give you an example of ways that you can perhaps use different types of information to find people. The final example that I'm going to use is talk about Meetup. Meetup's a really great site for finding people with shared interests, and that's both leisure interests and work interests as well. Again, I could either log in and sign up and search using that, or I can do a site search, site colon, and say I wanted to just find people who were say it was recruitment in London. I'm just going to run that and just see what kind of comes up, what kind of results come up. Okay, so what you can see is different types of results here, lots of dots, nothing kind of spot on coming up actually for recruitment, but what it's giving you is an idea of the fact that actually there's lots and lots of different groups and lots of information that's contained within Meetup. So here we go, we've got London Java community. I'm just going to use that as an example. Slightly out with the industries that we're talking about today, but I'll use it as an example. Because I go in, this is quite a big community in London. It's actually a site that I've looked at before. On this page, though, I can go in and I can see all of the members who are on this page. Okay. Now, this is a Java group in London, so I would make an assumption that everyone here has got something to do with Java. So we can see there we've got this guy, he's a lead developer in an agile environment. He's a Java web developer on high availability. So the people that put the information that people are putting on their profiles is amazing. I can then click through and I can see, and I could actually do a search, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to strip this URL, I'm just going to peel this URL back a little bit. I could do a site search against members, and I could do, for example, I'll just find Agile and Java. So Google just seems to have gave up today. Bear with me a moment. Okay, that one doesn't. Sorry, there's something up with my browser there. But I could also do it against, instead, I could do it against that specific group if I wanted. I could just do a site. So say I wanted, I don't know, people with SQL experience as well. See if any results come up for that. That's working now. And there we go, it's bringing up results of members within the page who have got information about SQL, which is a database on their page as well. So this is just about, that's all the different types of information, different ways that you can search against different sites. The aim of that kind of short session is just to give you some ideas and give you some motivation perhaps to think outside the box. My starter for 10 is think about a site that you have used in the past, run a related search against that, and then try running different types of X-ray searches against all those sites.